The equipment manager held out the pristine 1967 Fender Stratocaster. Sunburst finish, perfect neck, fresh strings, never been played. Worth $500, a fortune in 1967. This is for you, Jimmy, for Monterey, the biggest performance of your career. You can't go on stage with that broken guitar. Jimmy looked at the pristine Stratocaster, then at his own guitar, the one with the cracked neck held together with wood glue and duct tape, the one every tech had said was finished, the one that shouldn't work anymore. "I'm using mine," Jimmy said. "Jimmy, the neck is compromised. It could snap mid-performance in front of 50,000 people. This is Monterey Pop Festival. This is your chance to become a legend. You need a guitar that works." "Mine works," Jimmy said, picking up his broken Stratocaster. And 6 hours later, Jimi Hendrix would prove that being broken doesn't mean you can't make history. He would take that cracked neck guitar, play the most revolutionary set of the festival, and then set it on fire in front of 50,000 people, creating the most iconic image in rock history. All with a guitar that was literally held together with tape. This is the story of the broken guitar that refused to quit, and the musician who understood that perfection isn't about being pristine, it's about being real. June 1967. The Monterey Pop Festival was about to change music history. 3 days of performances, the biggest names in rock, the Mamas and the Papas, The Who, Janis Joplin, Otis Redding, and Jimi Hendrix, who was about to have his American debut. He had conquered Britain, become massive in London, but America, his home country, had largely ignored him. Monterey was his chance to change that, to show America what Britain already knew, that he was revolutionary. The pressure was enormous. 50,000 people in the audience, media from around the world, other musicians watching from the wings, one shot to prove himself. And his guitar was broken. It had happened 2 weeks before Monterey. Jimmy was rehearsing in London, working on the set he'd play at the festival, and during an aggressive performance of Wild Thing, he threw his Stratocaster into the air, something he'd done hundreds of times. But this time, he misjudged the catch. The guitar hit the stage neck first, hard. When Jimmy picked it up, he felt it immediately. The neck had cracked. Not completely broken, that would have been obvious, but cracked internally. A structural compromise that any guitar tech could feel. "It's done," his tech said, examining the guitar. "The neck integrity is compromised. It might hold for a few songs, but under stress, hard playing, aggressive performance, it could snap completely." "Can you fix it?" Jimmy asked. "Not really fix. I can glue it, tape it, reinforce it, but it'll never be the same. It's structurally weakened. You need a new guitar." "Fix it as best you can," Jimmy said. The tech did what he could. Wood glue along the crack, duct tape wrapped around the neck for reinforcement. It looked terrible, a professional guitar held together with tape, but it held, barely. He played it for the next 2 weeks, gentle playing, no aggressive moves, testing whether it would survive. And it did, sort of. The neck felt different, the action was off, the intonation wasn't perfect, but it worked. His bandmates, Noel Redding and Mitchell Mitchell, were concerned. "Jimmy, you can't play Monterey with that guitar. Get a new one, or at least a rental." "I'm fine," Jimmy said. "It's held together with tape," Noel pointed out. "It's my guitar. I know how it feels. I know how it responds. I don't want to learn a new guitar before the biggest show of our career." They arrived in Monterey 3 days before their performance. The festival was already underway. Other acts were performing. And backstage, the equipment managers were offering services to all the performers. That's when the manager approached Jimmy with the pristine Stratocaster. "Mr. Hendrix, I noticed your guitar. The neck looks damaged. We can't have you playing the festival with equipment that might fail. I've brought you a brand new 1967 Stratocaster. Never been played, perfect condition. You can use it for your set." Jimmy looked at the offered guitar. It was beautiful, flawless. Everything his guitar wasn't. "I appreciate it," Jimmy said, "but I'm using mine." "Sir, with respect, your guitar is held together with tape. The neck could snap during your performance. In front of 50,000 people. That would end your set, and possibly your career." "The neck will hold," Jimi said. "You can't know that." "I know my guitar," Jimi said. The equipment manager tried a different approach. "Think about it practically. This Pristine guitar will sound better. Perfect intonation, proper action. Your guitar's neck crack is affecting the sound quality, the sustain, everything. Why handicap yourself?" "My guitar sounds like it's supposed to sound. I don't want perfect. I want mine." The manager gave up. Jimi was going to play Monterey with a broken guitar, and there was nothing anyone could do to stop him. June 18, 1967, late night. Jimi was scheduled to perform after The Who, a brutal placement, because The Who were famous for their destructive, intense performances. Following them meant following chaos. Backstage, Jimi held his taped-together Stratocaster. Other musicians looked at it, some with concern, some with confusion. "Is that tape?" one musician asked. "Yeah," Jimi said. "On your guitar neck?" "Yeah." "For Monterey?" "Yeah." "That's bold, man." Jimi didn't think of it as bold. He thought of it as necessary. This guitar had been with him through his British breakthrough, through the clubs, through the recordings. It knew his hands. He knew its quirks. They'd been through things together. A Pristine guitar was just an object. His broken guitar was a partner. The Who finished their set. As predicted, it was chaos. Pete Townsend smashing his guitar, Keith Moon destroying his drums. The audience was frenzied. The energy was insane. And now Jimi had to follow that. He walked on stage carrying his taped-together Stratocaster. 50,000 people, cameras, other musicians watching, everything riding on this performance, and a guitar that might not survive it. Jimi started playing, and immediately something became clear to everyone watching. The guitar being broken didn't matter. If anything, it made the performance more raw, more real. The slight imperfections in intonation, caused by the cracked neck, created sounds that a perfect guitar couldn't make. The way the neck flexed slightly under aggressive playing created bends and vibrations that were unique. The tape-reinforced neck actually dampened certain overtones, creating a darker, more aggressive tone. Jimi was making the broken guitar's flaws into features. He played Killing Floor, aggressive, intense. The neck held. He played Foxy Lady, bending strings hard. The neck held. He went into Wild Thing, the song that had broken the guitar in the first place. And then he decided to do something nobody expected, something he'd been planning but hadn't told anyone about. He was going to set his guitar on fire. Not just any guitar, this guitar, the broken one, the one held together with tape, the one everyone said he shouldn't use. He was going to make its destruction legendary. As Wild Thing built to its climax, Jimi knelt down, pulled out lighter fluid, started dousing the guitar. The audience didn't understand at first. What was happening? Then he lit a match. The broken Stratocaster, the one with the cracked neck, the one held together with tape, burst into flames. Jimi held it up, playing it even as it burned. The neck that everyone said would snap under stress was now on fire, and still it held. Still he played it. The image was instantly iconic. Jimi Hendrix on his knees, playing a burning guitar at Monterey Pop Festival. 50,000 people watching, cameras capturing it. A moment that would define rock and roll forever. And it was all done with a guitar everyone said he shouldn't use. After the performance, backstage, the equipment manager found Jimi. "I was wrong about the guitar, about suggesting you use the Pristine one. That broken guitar, It was perfect for what you did. It looked real. It looked lived in. It looked like it had been through something. A pristine guitar wouldn't have had the same impact. It wasn't about the impact, Jimi said. It was about trust. I trusted that guitar. It had been through things with me. I wasn't going to abandon it just because it got damaged.
And then you set it on fire, the manager pointed out. That was its moment, Jimi said. It went out as a legend, better than retiring it to a closet. The photographs from that night, Jimi kneeling, the broken guitar burning, became some of the most famous images in music history. The guitar itself, or what remained of it, became a legendary artifact. Years later, pieces of that burned, taped-together guitar sold for thousands of dollars. The neck, the cracked, reinforced neck that everyone said would fail, survived the fire partially intact and ended up in a museum. The pristine 1967 Stratocaster the equipment manager had offered Jimi, nobody remembers it. It was probably a great guitar, perfect intonation, flawless finish, everything a professional musician should want. But it wasn't the guitar that made history. The broken one was. Other musicians learned about the story, about Jimi refusing the pristine guitar, about using the broken one anyway, about making its flaws into features, about trusting something damaged instead of replacing it with something perfect. And many of them changed how they thought about their instruments. I used to think I needed the best, most expensive, perfectly maintained equipment, one famous guitarist said years later. Then I heard about Jimi using a broken guitar at Monterey, making it work not despite the damage, but because of it. And I realized equipment doesn't make the musician. The musician makes the equipment. The equipment manager who offered Jimi the pristine guitar told the story for years. I learned something that day, he'd say. Sometimes broken things are more valuable than perfect things, because broken things have stories. They've been through something. They're real. And Jimi understood that. He didn't want pristine. He wanted real. He wanted a guitar that had been through battles with him, that had survived, that had scars. A pristine guitar is just an object. A broken guitar that still works is a survivor. And Jimi was always about survival. The image of that burning guitar, the cracked neck visible in photographs, the tape partially melted but still holding, became symbolic of Jimi's entire approach to music. Not about perfection, about authenticity, about making something beautiful from something broken. The festival photographer captured the moment from multiple angles. In some shots, you can actually see the duct tape on the neck starting to burn. In others, you can see the crack in the wood, illuminated by flames. The imperfections were part of the beauty.
One photograph in particular, Jimi holding the burning guitar above his head, the broken neck clearly visible, was chosen by Rolling Stone as one of the greatest rock and roll photographs ever taken, not despite the visible damage to the guitar, because of it. That photograph wouldn't have been as powerful with a pristine guitar, a photography critic wrote. The broken neck, the tape, the battle scars, they tell a story before the fire even starts. They tell you this guitar has been through something, and now it's going out in flames. That's poetry. 56 years later, that moment is still iconic. The burning guitar, the Monterey performance, Jimi's American debut that proved he was revolutionary. And it all happened because he trusted something broken more than something perfect. If this story of trusting what's broken and making it legendary inspired you, hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Share it with someone who's been told they're not good enough because they're damaged. Have you ever made something broken work better than something new? Tell us in the comments. And don't forget to hit that notification bell for more stories about the moments when being broken became being legendary.